Hello, chat. Look, I'm in San Juan. Isn't that cool? Um, Another pod. I'm doing good. I'm oh, large crab. I'm uh, being in San Juan for Thanksgiving is pretty nice. I'm enjoying my time vacationing. It's kind of nice. Um, I love old San Juan. I love San Juan in general. So being able to get out of Ohio cold is a plus. Being able to be somewhere warm with the beach, also pretty nice. So, enjoyable Thanksgiving week so far. Here with a friend. We just got back from the beach, so he's doing some stuff, getting ready for tonight. I'm also doing some stuff. I'm doing this with y'all. So, sorry I haven't done this. I was like kind of under the weather the other day, so didn't have a San Francisco version of this. Happy to have a San Juan version though. This has been pretty nice. Okay, y'all. Get to some questions for you. First question that you guys... I know there's a good amount of people who are asking questions still, which please continue to ask questions. It is extremely helpful. Man, San Juan's so crazy. It is extremely helpful. Because without questions, I don't know what you guys want me to talk about. And if I just randomly talk about random stuff, I don't know if anyone would listen. So, thank you. First question. Someone asked about what, since I do leadership stuff, management stuff, and for those who don't know, I am the senior director of analytics, baseball analytics specifically, for the Reds. And so how do I prepare myself for that? How do I prepare myself to lead and manage and direct versus not leading, not managing, not directing, doing more keyboard, hands-on keyboard stuff? Like, what are the differences? So I think I was trying to think of a good answer to this because I could give you just like what I do, my day-to-day effectively. I don't know if that's as instructive as like what I think people should do, but I'll try to do both, I guess. First, like, my management style is very much like have a very long roadmap and be adjustable, but if you have a roadmap for the year, some people might think a roadmap for the quarter is a long time. Some people might think a roadmap for the month is a long time. But whatever long is to you, oh God, this guy's about to hit the curb. Okay. Whatever long is to you, I would say that's probably long too. It's long enough for you to plan many projects, right? So that would be like my bar is plan for many projects. So the number one thing would be like, if you're planning for many projects, then you ultimately are saying these projects are the priority, right? Like within whatever long time frame you got, you want that priority. You want those projects done within that long window. So for me, it's usually work in about half-year road mapping segments. So within half a year, I want these things done. And within the back half of the year, I want these other things done. And that's just for projects, right? Like that's, if everything is apples to apples, we have all the resources to do these projects, then I want these projects done, right? These are projects I ultimately want done. So, so the first thing is to identify all these projects. And that's like a long amount of time, right? That's like, these projects should take me 6 months. All these projects, if I'm done with all of them, should take me 6 months, right? So knowing like what, some people call it like t-shirt sizing, some people call this like your bag size, your pool size, but whatever the amount of work is going to occupy at that time, I tend to go one step further and think like, if I had 110% of time, which my definition is if I had no meetings, if everyone was able to just be uninterrupted and do these projects, what could I expect in 6 months? And that's known throughout my entire department too. Like, always try to strive for like what the biggest size looks like. Like, what does that look like? And ultimately, can you execute on it, right? Like, is it possible for you to do all these things? No. But how close can you get, right? So trying to make sure that the size is a little larger than the time frame, in my opinion, is important for road mapping as well. Because then that helps kind of encourage whatever that next thing is. So once you have like your long roadmap set up, I tend to go to the smaller side. So within the week, or within 2 weeks really, what am I expecting? So all of these projects I'm wanting updates on. What are the updates? What is the tangible progress made given the things that we want done within the half year? And so it starts with leadership hands-on. That's weekly. So me, my boss, and then our assistant director and our manager, and now our coordinator. So everyone oversees parts of this cycle, parts of this roadmap, and they ultimately have to execute, overseeing the people that they see and trying to execute the projects that I think are supposed to be on our roadmap, done within the half the year, right? So that's a weekly meeting, basically to see like what's the temperature of the room, the groups, are people ultimately doing what they need to do, so on and so forth. So that's the first thing. I'd say the next weekly thing is like an all hands meeting. So I just want to know from everyone, like, everyone's on these projects. How are the projects going? Like, from the people doing the work, what does that look like? So there's a weekly meeting, but then I also have one-on-ones monthly. So scattered throughout the month, I'm hearing from everyone in the department, how is it going? Like, do they need more resources? Is it too aggressive of a timeline? Is it just right? Could they do even more? All of that is up for grabs, right? So, so once I hear all of that, then the thing I want to know ultimately is there any differences in the timelines? So that's pretty much all at that point. So in terms of management, I'm not really like asking people to do things on the micro level. Rather, I'm setting the goal and hearing project updates as we go. And if people are veering off into too deep into one end or off on a side quest on a different end, we could adjust course, right? Like, that shouldn't be difficult to say, like, oh, don't go and pursue whatever you're pursuing right now. Let's pause, focus on this other thing, and try to finish that, right? That happened really recently. Someone asked if they wanted to do more of this particular player development project. And that was something that was on their primary roadmap, something that I set months ago. And we realized, like, oh, given our timelines, it actually makes more sense for us to make sure that we don't necessarily spend too much time on doing that project, do more time, use our time more wisely on this other project for a different department. And they were like, oh, well, you know, are you making that decision? Is that something that, like, you know, everyone else agrees with? And my thought was, well, it doesn't matter if they agree with it right now, because ultimately it's a resourcing issue. It's not an issue of whether or not we want to do it. We obviously want to do it, but can we do it? That's very different. And right now, given our resources, we want to do something different. Or rather, focus on something and then come back to another thing when we do have all of the resources available to us. Look, chat, if you're watching this, chat, it's San Juan. Nice. Okay, that's enough of you. This statue is apparently, like, pretty important or something. I don't know. It's old. It's an old thing. Okay. So so it's important to rectify timelines, and for me, making sure people are staying on track is really important, but also making sure that people not just staying on track, but staying appropriately resourced is really important. So those are things that I care about on the weekly level, and not necessarily like, you got to do X, Y, Z in terms of this project. I'm not, like, reviewing PRs or anything right now. Rather, big picture, like, you need more resources. Let's prioritize in this way. I'll deal with the fallout from the stakeholders. Or the other way, where we're adding more resources because there's so much work, and hopefully that helps people feel like they're supported in resourcing for a project. So those are my thoughts on, like, how to manage. There are, at least on the weekly side of things, there are, like, managerial things, like administrative stuff related to budgeting or HR or whatever. It's not really probably stuff you guys care to hear about, but if you really do, I guess ask the question in the Discord. You know where that is, girl. Okay, so that's a pretty good one, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I haven't done this in so long, like, I don't know what's good content these days. That might have been a pretty generic response, but I don't know. I guess that's the other side of what I want to say. what I think is important, at least in managing, especially if you don't want to be labeled like a micromanager, I think something that's really important is when you bring people in, you're ultimately trusting them to do the work. So the more you trust them to do the work, the less you are doing the work yourself. I think the more important, or the more fruitful, and the better the product ultimately is at the end of the day. So I think a lot of the times when people are put into managerial scenarios, they don't necessarily let the people around them work in the ways that they feel comfortable working. Like, for example, it's not necessarily micromanaging, but if the ability to fail is low, then it's really difficult for someone to feel like they could take bigger risks just to see if something is actually worthwhile, even though it might set them back, call it a day, which is a lot of time. But let's just say a full-on 8 hours, right? And something that's tangible is like, say you have a model, right? You're choosing between one type of model with a certain methods of tuning versus another model, which rather than increasing tuning, you're increasing or you're filtering down more data. So the age-old question of like, more precise data gets you better results, but of course if you make more precise data, then you might be losing edge cases versus tuning, where you're taking in more data and hopefully compensating for the edge cases as well, but you're also introducing perhaps too large of an artifact, and your model's getting skewed for perhaps artifactual reasons. So I hear this a lot where people say, like, they just make the decision at the manager level, like, don't try both. Like, you're going to pick one and we're going to stick with it, right? And I tend to find that, like, that's like a very simple version of not micromanaging, but perhaps over managing, right? Like, is there a reason why someone is there a reason why someone is picking one thing over another? Is it something to do with time? Is it something to do with resources? Like, what is a good reason? And in my opinion, like, if you're not giving yourself enough time to do something exploratory like that, then like, what is this timeline? You know? But I hear this a lot. I hear this from people who, you know, they have to make a choice between between two things that seemingly are, you know, arbitrary or innocuous, and or arbitrary or things that you would typically do in parallel or sequentially just to see, and they have to make a choice, and they are stuck with that choice. And sometimes this is a good choice, sometimes it's a horrible choice. So, you know, what is that choice? Why? I don't know. I don't know why people make those kinds of choices. So, but I would say, like, I try to manage less that way. I try to give enough exploration time on projects. And ultimately, if there is a time where it's like, we could choose this thing or this other thing, we could be really good here and miss here, or we could be really good there and miss over here, right? And at least I would think the more room you have to miss, the more comfortable everyone is. And objectively, you're making the right choice at the end of the day. Now, this is where like some of you 10xers, gigabrain engineers might say, oh, look at this cat. Hello. Gato. Some of you 10x engineers might think like, wow, this cat is, look at this cat, look at this cat chat. Nice. Ooh la la. So, I think like some of the 10x engineers out there might think like, well, the best engineers are going to make the right choice more often, and so you could cut out time just by hiring 10xers, and like you don't have to build it in time. Well, you still want to build in time. It's not like the 10x engineers are going to get it right, what, 99% of the time, 98% of the time, like whatever you think they're going to be doing, it's probably going to be under that if you are putting them on a pedestal, right? So I tend to think like the opposite. If I had a 9x engineer, what kind of time am I needing? And in my mind, when you try to plan out your big project goals, and for me it's half a year, how much time do I need to do all the things I want to do in the right way? And sometimes you might be underselling the amount of projects you could do, right? But I think that's the important thing about timelining. Say you put this thing out and your boss is like, wow, only N amount of projects. I thought it was going to be N plus M projects. In my mind, they're not going to realize what the number of projects are that are being completed. They're not going to realize the number of solutions that are coming about, because when a solution ends up being pushed to prod, like those kinds of solutions, they get so like happy and invigorated by one new solution. They aren't counting how many wins at the end of the day. They are just very happy that they have a win, and it's sooner than they thought, or it appeared in a way where it's like, oh, it's here now and I'm using it, right? Like there's many ways, at least in my mind, to kind of, and I don't know, like selling the timeline I think is really important, and it's up to you as a boss or a manager to sell the right timeline, right? It's not up to your boss. Look at this chat. Look at my hair. Oh my God, what the hell's going on? It's so humid. It's not up to you. It's not up to your boss or your boss's boss to decide on like how someone should manage or how a team should be managed. If you're the team lead, or you're a project lead, or you're a department lead, those things, whatever that level is, you should be overseeing. At least for me, in terms of directing, I should be overseeing what the timelines are and how many projects we're doing and all of that. And the people above me, they're paying me to ultimately manage that responsibility and those relationships and make sure that those things get executed. They want to worry about using all that info and making the best decisions without having to like worry about these projects being done. I get to worry about that, but I also know they're going to be done because I'm managing in this way, right? At least in this way that my team has been successful with and I've been successful with. So when it comes to like bad managing, I tend to think like a lot of people want to like get answers quickly and best, and they're deciding on methodology that isn't complete. And when you skip too many steps, when you cut too many corners, you might not end up with the shape that you wanted, right? You're aiming for a square and you get a circle, you might cover a good amount of the area, but there are some of the corners that you really needed. So it just depends, right? Okay, next question. Someone asked, I didn't have anything to write down. So someone asked, if I had to start over again, then if I was coming in at an entry level or junior, it looks like people are like closing up because it's like there's rain imminent. So if it starts raining, I'm running back to my Airbnb chat. But someone asked, about what do I need, if I was starting again as an analyst, then like what would I look for? What kind of jobs would I want? And I can say pretty strongly, I would just look for the same thing I was looking for now, which is like being a data scientist, some sort of quantitative analyst of some sort, right? And that would be what I would look for, and then ultimately that would be what I would find. Because I think as an analyst, I think no matter where I'm put, I can extract the solution. That would be like my thought. And that was the same with like me taking on KFC, and then me being in baseball, me doing all the different keg competitions we've done, all the different things that I did on stream. They're just me being able to reuse my recipe, right? And my recipe was very strong. It's like a very successful, robust machine learning ensemble, no pun intended. So that's my thought. My thought is like, if I had to start over, I think I would start with looking for analysts or any quantitative role, entry-level role. And I think one thing that I didn't let myself do, which I might, if I had to start, like if I had to teleport 10 years ago and find a job, I think I might have given internships a better try, even as a person with their PhD. Like, I don't think like, at least I haven't been confronted with, well, actually I have, to be honest, confronted with some people who are just very academic, people who are like, people who believe that academia and people with PhDs are too slow in their process. And in my mind, obviously I have a PhD, and I don't think that, but I do think it is, going back to the first point, sometimes management and expectations. Like, people need to be able to do things, and they need to be given kind of the starter kit on how those things are done, right? So I would tend to think that it's not like you're looking for jobs where you get to just be 100% you. Rather, I think of it the other way. Like, I would look at a sector that's interesting, and then like maybe try to find good management or team expectations by talking to more people at certain companies or on certain teams, and then perhaps just apply everywhere, right? So if I was entry level, I think my attack would be like, don't discount internships. I think internships are they're real, they're viable, and like if you're trying to get into a new industry, it's not a bad idea to take a shot at an internship. And then if I am trying to find entry level work, it'd probably be on the quantitative side, and preferably, I guess, if I had to make a choice, I personally like product as opposed to marketing, as opposed to supply chain, as opposed to like back end engineering. I'd like to be on the product side of anything. So like if I worked at a car manufacturer, I'd be interested in like product sales, product optimization. Some people might think like the marketing side is more interesting, like target demographics and pushing ads, buying and selling ads. Like some people might think that's interesting, but I personally think like the product side, which makes sense. Like I'm on the product side of sports. I'm producing the product that people watch. So, and it's just me. It's 100% me. No one else but me. So, but I'm helping produce product, right? And so I think like if I could help produce like cost efficiencies on an F1 team, like, oh, this one bolt I could like we can make in-house, or here's a manufacturer who could do it. Like, and maybe that's more supply chain, but you're ultimately trying to build the car, right? Or if I'm working for, I don't know, let's say commercial real estate, like where are areas that are areas right for buy low? Like, have there been like permits granted in certain areas that have more commercial, that have more residential? Is there money being invested in certain cities or neighborhoods? You know, and where and why? And like, does that mean certain real estate in that area is at a low because the permits have been granted, but no construction has happened yet? So stuff like that might be interesting, you know, like being able to work on the product side. I did work on the marketing side and looked at research or receipt data and all that stuff, and that was kind of fine. But like marketing, I'm not like pumping my fist when I was able to like have a targeted deal to, you know, college kids, you know, like that wasn't something where I was like, woohoo. So I don't know. I don't think that's something I'd be interested in. But anyway, when you're an entry level, you don't really have a choice. You have a choice in sector, but you might not have a choice in team. And over time, if you're really good, you will have a choice in team. So, and more precisely, the stuff you're doing within that sector. So, all right, chat. I'm gonna go home now. I think our some friends, not friends. My friend is waiting for us to go somewhere for dinner. He is finishing up whatever he's doing, so I'm gonna go finish up what I'm doing, which is this. Bye from San Juan. Look, it's so San Juan-y, chat. Bye from San Juan. There might be one more, maybe tomorrow. Okay, I'm going. See you later.